going for 6 years, Chris for 4, and Patrick just completed his 2nd year. Each time they come back from Appalachia, they are a little more humbled, and I am a bit jealous that I have not been able to go. This year, the stars lined up, and I was able to go with them. Well, needless to say, my priorities in life have now changed. As I have learned this past year through all the fundraising, training on how to use tools properly, which I don't do tools. And we also go through a sensitivity training. It takes a special kind of person to continue this project each and every year. Throughout this process, friendships are made with people that you don't see on a daily basis, but they are lifelong friendships that you're building. On the way down to Appalachia, I rode in a van with my co-leader, Drew, and 4 boys. And I gotta tell you, it was an experience, to say the least. We talked about our careers at home, where we went to school, travels throughout our years, and through this conversation, my co-leader, Drew, and I found out that we were both at the same prom, which I cannot believe. The youth surprised me with their political views and who and what they want to become after college. Once we arrived in Appalachia, that's when the whirlwind began. I was chosen from my crew to go out on Sunday evening to meet the family whose home we would be working on for the upcoming week. After a long 2 days in the car, my emotions were pretty high at this point. When I arrived at the home, I immediately saw why we were there. I was working on a mobile home. When we arrived, the skirting, which is kind of like the foundation of the mobile home, was completely torn off, and there were gaps 2 to 3 feet wide, and it just was a complete mess. Then I went inside to meet the homeowners. As soon as I walked in, the husband, his name's Lonnie, got up and hugged me, and he said how happy he was to meet me. Unfortunately, Mrs. Risa couldn't. She had mobility problems. She also has breathing problems, but she continued to smoke. We sat there for a few minutes, and they explained some of their history. Mr. had undergone brain surgery a few years ago, and then he fell last year and broke his hip. He has been incapacitated, and his home has fallen apart. There were holes in the floor, the roof leaked, they needed insulation, and there was a makeshift porch. By makeshift, I mean it was cinder blocks that were stacked for their porch for their second exit out of the house. And it was a real hazard. He walked with a cane, and she could never get down those cinder blocks. When it was time to leave, he hugged me, and he told me we were angels sent from God to help him. The statement set the tone for the week. The next morning, Monday, we arrived back at the home with the crew, which was 4 youth, myself, and my co-leader, Drew. It had rained the entire night, and when I say rain, it was torrential rain, and everything was muddy. The first task at hand was putting insulation underneath the trailer, which I don't know if any of you know what it's like underneath a mobile home, but there's not a lot of space in some areas. So Shannon and I, we were elected to be the first 2 to go under. Shannon's a little bit bigger than I am, and she got right in there and sat down in the mud, and she started packing up the insulation. It was not easy. It's a little hard because you're sitting down and you're working like this. So we had to keep switching on and off. There's a lot of creepy crawlies under the house. But each day we arrived and we pushed through it. We got through all the work with the pouring rain. Every day we made lunch for ourselves, and we also made extra lunches that we brought for the homeowners. And most of the time what you would do is go in and sit down with them and eat lunch and, just become familiar with them and their situation. But because we were mud head to toe, we didn't get a chance to do that. Each time one of the youth would bring them their lunch, they would chat with them and get to know them a little bit more. On Thursday, I walked in to say good morning, and Mr. Lonnie was visibly upset. He asked if we had heard about the police shootings in Dallas. And I told him we did not because we don't have access to TV. The kids have their iPhones, but they kind of keep to themselves, and we didn't have great cell service there. At that time, I explained to him that one of the youth on my crew, Ben, his dad is a police officer here in Danbury. And Lonnie asked to see Ben. And so I went outside and got Ben, and I brought Ben in. And Ben is 6'4". He's a junior in high school. And Lonnie asked Ben to kneel down, and he took Ben's hand, and he asked Ben to pray with him. And he did. And then I told him that my husband, Chris, was a firefighter. So he asked me to pray with him. On our last day, Lonnie kept peeking out the door to make sure we were doing okay. The rain just would not let up, on and off, and at sometimes it was downpouring. When it was time to say goodbye on Friday, we didn't want to go inside because we were just a muddy mess, but he made us go inside. We all stood in a circle and we prayed. We all got hugs from each one of them. Miss Teresa did get out of her chair to get a hug. We all left the house silently. We got into the car and everybody started crying. Later that evening, every night we had evening gatherings at the camp where we were staying. Later that evening, all of the ASP candidates were asked to share their God moment. And my co-leader, Drew, who was a big burly guy, he couldn't even get out anything. All he said is 5 days of Lonnie smiles. By the end of the circle, meaning each one of our God moments, and the kids and Chris and Chuck can attest to this, every single person was crying. The impact we made on these families' lives is so rewarding. The relationships we form on this trip are forever relationships. And I really hope that I can go again next year. I want to close thanking each and every one of you for your love and support, both financially and emotionally, with this trip. And a big thank you to the Women's Society because you helped offset a major cost for all of us to go. And we really appreciate it. You make it easier for all of us to take time out of our busy lives and to use our vacation time to help our fellow mankind. God's handiwork. And if anybody hasn't seen our t-shirt, it's right there. So thank you.
Okay, so it says in your bulletin that Shannon Sullivan is supposed to be speaking. As most of you know, I am not Shannon Sullivan. I'm actually her sister. She couldn't make it today, so she sent me what she wanted to say, and I'll be reading it for her. So this was my 7th year on ASP. I had a different experience this year than I did in the past. I was looking at it from a different perspective. Whether or not that had to do with me being an adult, I am not sure, but the dynamics this year were very different. The past 2 years that I have been an adult leader for ASP, the majority of the people that I knew were youth volunteers. I spent most of my time with my younger friends, and I didn't feel much different from the years in the past. This year, however, I knew more of the adults than the youth. I became closer to a lot of the people that I had looked up to in the past, and it was strange to think that I was starting to become one of them. I look forward to learning and experiencing something new every year, and this year didn't disappoint me. I have learned a lot from the adults that I have gone on this trip in the past, and it feels good to be able to start sharing that with the newer generation of volunteers. I look forward to the many years to come volunteering on ASP, and I hope that in the future I can be an inspiration to the youth like the adults have been to me. I love how close I've become with everyone on the trip, adults and youth, and I can't wait to build more relationships in the future.
Good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, you're lucky. My name is Chris Ryan, and this was my 4th year on ASP. I went along with my wife, my daughter Tara, and my son Patrick. So my wife gave me the option of staying home and cleaning the bathroom. We're talking about ASP, so this is what I chose. I'm supposed to give you a review of what it feels like, I guess, to be one of the homeowners. So as you would expect, all of the families that we help are grateful. They always come out and thank you for the work that you do. Sometimes they even come out and help out, or they offer you snacks and drinks. But it's more than that. We are changing their lives. Some of these people are handicapped, and their ramp is either unsafe, or maybe they never even had a ramp to begin with. Or their bathroom floor is so spongy that they don't want to use it, so they go to their neighbor's house. We are taking items off their list of problems which cause them grief, headache, and heartache. Leaking roofs, no insulation, sagging, unsafe porches, floors, and walls. This year, to our amazement, this whole helping out idea went even further. Some of the crews that were working in the city center, which is a bit unusual for us because we typically work on the houses outside of town, on some backcountry road. There were some issues with the city this time. It seemed as though they didn't want the houses to be repaired at all. They didn't approve of what we were doing. It appeared that the city wanted to condemn the houses and possibly the houses around it to bring in new development. Well, when the neighbors saw what was going on, they realized that they didn't want that for their neighbor or for themselves. They all started cleaning up their own houses and yards. Seeing one of the houses in town being fixed up brought out neighborhood pride. Good change can bring on more good change. Our work spurred new work. So even after we leave, hopefully the work will continue. Milton Berle once said, if opportunity doesn't knock, then build your own door. Hopefully the idea will catch on.